Hey you guys, today is Friday, April 19th. It is cold and raw here. And as you can see behind me, today I'm featuring our raised galvanized beds that we bought from Land Guard well over a year ago. And they have been through snow, torrential rain. We've grown in them and they have been absolutely wonderful. So I had a question come in on the last video that we did where we featured the build, the assembly, the unboxing, and all of that for you. That really got a lot of views and it seemed to have helped a lot of people. Someone commented yesterday and asked, are they rusted out yet, because I want to buy some. So today I figured I would give you an update and a one-year review on the Land Guard galvanized beds in case you're interested in buying them, and we can provide the link for this product below. Now, I honestly did not know what to expect from these galvanized beds when we put them up. And of course, I was absolutely petrified that we were making an investment like this and that they would rust out on us. But there's no rust. You can see all of the screws. They do get a dulled patina to them. They start off very, very shiny. But there's no rust. Now, is there potential that there could be rust under the soil line? I guess, but I'm not going to dig in there to find out. Next week we will be topping these beds off up to the top. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about soil requirements and what you're going to need to grow in these. Now, these are over a foot high. What I like about this bed here is the rounded edge, because you can see that it overlaps, so you're not going to get any soil loss from these. The instructions on these beds did say that you can hand tighten them, but once you go ahead and use a little bit of a screwdriver just to get a good tight grip on there, they do become very, very sturdy. They do seem a little flimsy at first, but once you go ahead and tighten up these screws, you'll realize that you have good connection and there's no room for soil to come out. They move easily, so you can put them where you want them. You can get the ground nice and level, and then you just have to fill it. So here, actually, this bed over here still has a little bit of shine to it that you can see. Oh, and there's lots of volunteer cosmos and zinnias in front of them. We grew wonderful tomatoes in these beds last year. I was so happy to have this here. This was an easy area to assemble these raised beds with, but they do eat up a lot of soil. Now, we purchased these, I think after we had our soil delivery last year, so we did have to bag them up. And they did take, I think, 2 or 3 bags per container. So be prepared that you're gonna need to fill these up. And because it's not an overly high bed, you don't really want to do like the hugelkultur, I think it's called, where you fill it with raw or like with pieces of wood branch and things like that. You want a bed of this height to be pure soil if you're going to be planting things like tomatoes, because this is going to give you the opportunity to plant your tomatoes really, really deep and take advantage of the fact that when you plant a tomato, the entire stem will become roots for you. So this is wonderful for tomato beds. You can see these trellis pieces that we put in here have held up through wind and snow, and they received it very, very well, and this has been a wonderful area for gardening. Something that you will want to be careful for is that the panels do have sharp edges right here. But it's worth it to deal with this. I mean, if you can, this is very pliable. You can probably find some type of a weather stripping to go over top of it, like a rubber strip if that concerns you. But we're not worried about it. If you have little kids or dogs that you're worried about, you may want to consider trying to cover them. These planters in particular do not have an internal stabilizer, but we found that once they were filled with the soil, it really didn't need it. Now, you don't want to pack soil in too tight up against the edges and bulk it out, because there is some potential it could bow, especially if it's not sitting on level ground. We do have these on top of earth, and they're not on a patio, and they're not on the gravel. So we moved everything out of the way so that they were going straight down into the soil, and again, we just filled them up to the top. Now I'm going to show you an example of something like this versus a square bed and why I like this shape better. We just purchased these beds here late in the year from Castle Creek, I think they're called, and they are out of stock. We can provide the link, but I don't think they came back in stock yet. Now, I bought this because it called out to me that it had a nice corner shape, because I wanted to define this area that we built from reclaimed stone, and I just wanted something that would hug the corners a little bit, and I really love the shape of it. But this bed was substantially more difficult to deal with than the oval beds were. And you can see these corners here leave a lot of opportunity to lose soil. So I went ahead and I put landscape fabric in there before we filled them up, just to try to wrap it around the edges here to protect it. This type of square bed required a lot more leveling. It required a lot of stability while we were filling it up, because it kept losing its shape, and I just found it to be overall more difficult. So now we're back to two more of the Land Guard beds that you can see. We have a strawberry forest. They did, the strawberries jumped out. They made runners all over the place. Now we're going to allow this year because we have more strawberries in the ground than we do in the beds, but I went ahead and added more strawberries to the bed that cleared itself out last year, and now I have the Park's Whopper strawberry, known to be the largest strawberry in the world, and I will tell you that the Park's bare root strawberries are incredible to grow with, and I can actually probably provide you a link for that as well. It's really technically not too late in certain areas. You might still be able to get them if they're in stock, but these galvanized beds from Land Guard work really, really well for a strawberry patch, because it's easy. You can see I had to put a piece of animal enclosure around it so I could put a net on top of that, because the birds love to eat your strawberries. So these are a good opportunity to put a cattle panel over it, or just some other sort of teepee, something that will allow you to drape net over the top of it, making it easy to get into. And you can raise your soil so that your roots for the when you buy bare root strawberries, you can plant the root nice and deep. You can let it take over, and it's easier to lift them out for transplants and to manage your runners. Now, the Land Guard beds come in several shapes and colors, which I really, really liked. So I think, you know, if we are right now going to order more galvanized beds in the future, I'll probably go ahead and order them from Land Guard. We do tend to venture out into different products and different manufacturers just to give things a try. But I know that if I'm going to do this shape again, I'm not going to bother going with anybody else. I'm just going to go ahead and get them from Land Guard, and we ordered these from Amazon. Land Guard does have a direct website that you could order from, but I think they're more expensive on their site. But they do run sales from time to time on Amazon, and with Amazon you can just go ahead and send things back if you have a problem. So that's where we ordered ours from. Now, it seems every day there's a new raised bed company coming out for the galvanized type material, and from what I hear, they are, you know, sourcing the metals from many different places. And there is a controversy over using galvanized metal for raised beds for several reasons. A lot of people will say, just go ahead and use timbers, or just make a mound in the ground and plant your stuff in that. And I will tell you that for me, raised beds have become very important because there is a lot of soil loss. We live in an area, and our backyard has a grade, so our soil tends to wash away very easily, and it makes a big mess, and you just can't contain things. If you're going to invest in good soil to grow a garden, you want to make sure you retain that with some product. Now, you know, there's so many emissions and so many things that happen with any material that you buy to retain something like this. And then you have loss. We have raised beds made out of wood timbers that were supposed to be pressure treated, and they rotted out. They were difficult to get home. The insects still bored through. They're deteriorating, and now we're going to have to build them all over again. They just fell apart. And they were very heavy. They made a mess in the car. It required two of us to get them home because I can't handle them by myself. These boxes come in the size of each panel. So the box was like a foot by a foot maybe, and that's not exact, but it was very small. And each little section gets stacked up on top of each other, so you get this little box that you're able to just pick up and take anywhere. And when you assemble it, you can pick it up and take it anywhere. Whereas with the wood pieces, it's just not that easy. So if you're considering raised beds and you've seen our video on the Land Guard Galvanized raised bed product, we do still highly recommend it. And you can see after 1 year, there's not a speck of rust on any of the beds, and we have 6 of them. So if you have any questions, please post them below. We like to get back to everybody. If you've already bought them, I really hope that you're enjoying them. But anything that you're looking at, the Vigo beds, the birdies, they are substantially more money. So if you're going to invest in something like this, try a smaller bed that you can handle on your own and doesn't require a tremendous amount of soil. The really tall beds, you can get the birdies and the Vigo beds that are several feet high, but you have to fill them with something. And I want you to ask yourself what it is that you're going to grow in them before you decide if you really need a 2-foot tall raised bed. Something that's around a foot tall is plenty enough to grow vegetables and even flowers. So, unless you're in an area where you have no soil or you're dealing with desert conditions or it's too rocky and you want to grow something that requires deep soil, that should really be the only reason why you need to invest in something that large. Try something small first for your investment. See how you like it. See how well it does in your garden for a year and whether or not it starts to rot out. So anyway, we recommend the Land Guard beds, you guys. There's no rust. They work really well. They're portable, easy to handle. They come in the mail, and there's no fuss with them. So I hope that helped you out. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss any new videos. I hope to see you in the next video.